Hello, good afternoon. My name is Cynthia, and today I'll be doing my oral presentation on the topic of maintaining therapeutic boundaries from the perspective of a personal support worker. A little bit about myself before I begin. I am a personal support worker. I've been in this field for approximately 5 years. I work in the community as well as in long-term facilities, dealing with many families with illnesses and palliative clients. I am basically disconnecting and connecting with clients on a daily basis, and I find that the key is to remember what my role is and to try my best to do as much as I can for the family without getting over-connected and not blurring the lines. I'm going to go over 4 key things today. I'm going to talk about what are boundaries, signs of clear and unclear boundaries, strategies to maintain therapeutic boundaries, as well as talk about quickly a metaphor of the family dance. It's something that I read when I was in a palliative course, and I found it a really good visual and understanding of what our role is with the family. So we're going to start off with boundaries. What are boundaries? Well, they're invisible lines in a relationship. They remind us that we can get close to the person you care for, but still understand that at the end of the day, their story is not our story. We need to keep things separate, and sometimes that's difficult because, sometimes you're with families on a daily basis for 8 hours a day for 2-3 years, and it's very hard not to make that personal connection without going over the line. So it's just really important that you recognize what are boundaries and you stay within your role. On to the next slide. How to know when your boundaries are clear. So if you're in a situation and you are observing and assessing the client rather than judging and labeling them, then that's good. We want to work with your team as a team to figure out the scenarios for your client. We don't want to try to be doing it all on our own. You want to be able to listen to the client and not make decisions for them. You can share personal information about the client if it benefits the client. Otherwise, it's a breach of confidentiality. You can be emotional. You can cry and have shared grief, but you need to know why you're crying. You don't want to be excessive. You also want to remember your job is to support the client, not to fix the problem. This is a big warning. These are the 3 key areas that you want to make sure that if you are doing any of these 3 things, that you step back from the situation. So number 1 is if you feel extreme emotion. It's not the same as shared grief. If you're crying for no reason, you're just overwhelmed with everything all the time, then you need to step back from the situation, and maybe perhaps it's something that's going on personally with you, something that's triggered something. You need to speak with your supervisor and find out ways that you could step back from the situation. Number 2 is you feel ownership of the clients. You think, oh, they like me best. Nobody else can do the job like me. If they come in, they're not going to do it right. You end up sometimes calling them on your personal time, checking in on them, and you're kind of stepping over the boundary. The third one is you try to control. You think that because you're there 8 hours a day, you're part of the family, that you could get in on personal conversations, that you can tell them what they need to do with their family member, when in fact that is not our job. Once again, we're there to support the client, not fix the client, and leave the judgments on the sidelines. All right, and so those are very important if you are noticing that you're doing these three, that you immediately need to speak to somebody specifically, or a supervisor or another colleague, and find other ways to step back from the situation. This is just a funny cartoon that I thought I'd put on here. I'm just going to read it to you here. It says, "You took such good care of me, I decided to sell my house and move into one of the rooms. Which one is available?" So sometimes it's not just yourself that gets connected. It is the client or patient that gets connected. And they are taking it as a different type of relationship, when this is actually a professional relationship between a client and a caregiver. Okay, so strategies for maintaining our healthy boundaries. So what you want to do is, number one, is acknowledge the importance of your boundary. Understand how important it is. Be clear about your scope of practice, what your job is. You're the PSW. You're not the father. You're not the nurse. You're not the doctor. You're the support worker. Ask your employee to clarify your job description if you feel yourself stepping over the line, or if you feel yourself, you feel people are giving you duties and stuff that are not in your scope of practice. You also want to reflect on the situation at the end of the day and see if it causes you strong emotions. If you find at the end of the day you're feeling very emotional, you might want to step back from the situation and just kind of collect yourself and go through, why you're feeling this way. Another thing is important that I do on a weekly basis, or sometimes daily basis, is engage in self-care, because we are giving all day. It's very draining, and I find that if you're always helping other people, that you forget to help yourself. So self-care is huge. For myself, I call it me time. It could be a hot bath with candles. You got music. It could be a nice fudge chocolate cake you want to eat. You want to read a book. Whatever you find that gets you to wind down and take some me time for yourself. It's basically, you want to be able to recharge so that you're ready to go for the next day. Now, this was what I was talking about at the beginning of my lecture or speech. The metaphor of the family dance. This is actually, excuse me, working from a therapeutic dance, Elizabeth Closton. So basically what this is about is, if you just picture a family, you have all kinds of relatives, brothers, sisters, grandparents, everybody's doing the dance. They know the moves because they've been in the family. They know what things they like to do, what things they don't like to do. And sometimes this is specifically with palliative clients, there's the one person that's sick and dying. And sometimes the family, the dance moves get all kerfuffled. They're not sure how to react, how to do. And we're basically on the edge of the dance floor, offering support. So sometimes what happens is, in those situations, they come to you for guidance, and we're not there to give them new dance moves or to tell them what to do. We're there just to guide them and follow these steps. We want to be able to observe from a neutral place, no judgment, because we aren't family, so we can see other things from a different perspective. Another thing is, we want to explore. If there is an issue, we want to ask questions. We want to see, how they want to have things done. What would be the best thing for their family? But you're coming from a healthcare point of view, not a family point of view. Another thing is, you want to normalize. You want to imagine the healing response. Help them feel validated. Listen to them. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we want to listen, not to give an answer, but to just take it all in so that we can understand what exactly they want from us. And to preserve the integrity of the family dance. So it's very important that we stay on the sidelines of the dance. And sometimes it is very difficult. I've been in situations where I have fallen across the lines for sure, because sometimes there's hooks. And you don't even realize that you've joined the dance. There might be a situation where one of the family members that's passing away reminded you of your grandmother. She had the same type of cancer. So that might just hit a different emotional string for you, that you didn't realize that you were going to be so emotional about it. So that's just an example. I just really love like the visual it gives us as healthcare providers to just stay on the outside of the dance floor, but we're a very important part of the whole family dynamics because we're able to give information and guidance without getting personal. So in conclusion, summary, basically you want to know your scope. You want to know what your job is, your role as a personal support worker. So as I was saying, you want to know the role and the scope of the practice as a healthcare team player. Number 2, you want to watch for signs of unclear boundaries. We spoke about those 3 key things. You want to work from a therapeutic distance. And if you want to remember the analogy of the dance, you have the family on the dance floor doing everything and you're on the sidelines taking it all in from a different perspective. And you also want to engage in self-care. So in conclusion, to be successful in healthcare as a profession, it's imperative that you understand and you pay attention to maintaining your therapeutic boundaries. As they build healthier relationship, prevent burnout, and also over-involvement. So basically, working hard to maintain your boundaries and stay off the dance floor of the client, being aware of your own hooks can help you work from a therapeutic distance. So I hope that this information was helpful, these tips. Thank you very much for tuning in, and have a great day.